I'm hereby calling to order the meeting of the Chesapeake Beach Ethics Commission at 1 p.m. at 1 p.m. 2 minutes, August 10th, 2021. My name is Philip Keat. I'm chair of the commission. Peter, would you identify yourself? I'll give you a name for the record.
Oh, I'm Peter Feuerle, F-E-U-E-R-L-E.
Fred Sussman, counsel to the commission.
Ingrid Lamb.
Okay, thank you. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sharon has sent out minutes from our June 29th meeting. Does anyone have any corrections or additions?
No.
No? All right, without objection, they are adopted. Thank you, Sharon, as usual. All right, Sharon has done an incredible job and sent us recently the corrected disclosures of all the people who we had noted last time around had some deficiencies, including the disclosures by two people who had not made disclosures initially. The only problem I found in the whole package was with one of those folks. In the Doris Spencer, her Form A does not show who she bought the house from.
Right, I saw that too.
So now, as everybody else will give, I suggest we give her to the end of the month to
Sure.
correct that. Is that all right, Peter?
I think Stuart, I had a couple of notes. I did this whole run through about a week and a half
Yeah.
ago, so I didn't have a chance to refresh myself, but I had some notes here with Stuart related to the fact, I think Holly had sent us some emails that she had exchanged with her about her employment at the Rod and Reel.
Oh, here's the problem. Well, all right, first, yeah. The form asks if you are employed at any place that is listed in Appendix B and C. Rod and Reel isn't listed. Don't understand that.
Right.
But I don't think we can fault her for not identifying that employer, given the fact that it's not on the list.
This is true. So she, in terms of completing the form,
Yeah.
it's complete,
Right.
but maybe we take
need to
some other
investigate.
steps regarding the information that was.
Exactly.
Then I did note on that too, under lien holder, she names herself, and then 8226 Elm was shown as both bought and rented.
If I understand it, she and her family rented it and then bought it.
Okay. Because I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, it's got to be one or the other here, or some combination thereof, or whatever's
Yeah.
going on.
That's how, I think she had a note there.
And then under Soroka, I wrote no lien holders. I think that was one of the deficiencies we had found.
Hold on, sorry.
I think it still was blank.
Oh, wait a minute.
I'm looking too,
Oh,
Phil.
you know, you are right. I saw the stuff handed. Now, did we? Yeah, it's, I mean, again, I want to say Sharon did an incredible job because on her Form A, she writes out, list who the property was acquired from and list any mortgage lien holders and co-owners. All right, so I think to follow up on that, it could be that there are none. So I guess I think we'll give her, another couple of weeks to
Sure.
confirm that there are none, or if there are, to identify them.
And then I had under Barreau, we had written in our keep notes that she lives in Chesapeake Beach, but answers this question in the negative. And I wrote here to myself, it still says no.
My thinking, despite that, is if somebody puts Chesapeake Beach, puts an address, that's substantive compliance with that question.
Yeah, I'm just following up on our
Yeah,
notes, just
I
to
think
close the
in
loop.
retrospect, I think that.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Then on Larson, in our Form A, our famous Form A, one of the answers was book value. I'm not quite sure that's the answer we're looking for there.
What's the name?
Larson, under planning and zoning.
Bless you.
Bless you. No, it's faster than if I went paging through the soft part of it. I have it up, so, but it would take lots of scrolling.
Oh.
And then the acquired from was also blank.
That, boy, thank you. Ownership, the whole thing's, how was ownership obtained? Presumably it was obtained by purchase. Land use when acquired. Yeah, okay, that has to be followed up.
Yeah, both those points.
Really unclear to me why he had a different form than everybody else.
Right, I know. Maybe he grabbed it before we massaged it. I don't know if there was a iterative process
Boy.
there.
I have to say, I went through this very carefully and I'll miss those.
That's always good to have a couple sets of eyes on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that it?
Yep.
So need to follow up. What do we say is Spencer?
Yes.
Spencer, Soroka, and Larson.
Stuart. No, wait a minute. We agreed Stuart was okay. We just have to follow up on what was in there.
All right. With that, we have to say we approved, list the names that we approved.
Right. I have to go back to our minutes there from the 29th and see where our problem children were here. And basically say that we approve all of those except for those three then, right? We have to add
Okay.
Spencer to the list too, because we didn't have her then.
was Spencer. All right, okay. Looking at the second page of the minutes, at the top, there's a list of the people who are required to correct their forms. I'm going to read names, and if there's no objection, I'll deem them approved, name by name. Okay, so Bodine, any objection?
No,
We approve hers. Blackwelder, any objection?
no.
Approved her. Keep. When I was looking at one of the problems this morning or yesterday, I noticed my wife is chair of a nonprofit that received a grant from the town.
Whoops.
And so should have been yes on Form D. So no objection that now that that's been corrected. Hoon Star, any objection?
No,
It's approved. Favre, any objection?
no,
Objection, it's approved. Rutke,
no,
any objection? No. Okay, it's approved. Getman, any objection?
no,
Approved. Barreau, any objection?
no,
Approved. Fink, any objection?
no,
Doherty, any objection?
no,
Hartman, any objection?
no,
Approved. Odell, any objection?
no,
Approved. Brown, any objection?
no,
Approved. No objection, it's approved. Jakubiec, any objection?
no.
Approved. Soroka, is there an objection?
That's one of the ones there
Okay,
that has to be followed up.
okay, we can follow up on that. Green Gold,
No,
objection? No objection. Approved. Castro,
no,
any objection? No. Newton, any objection?
no. Didn't we get?
I can hear.
We haven't received his.
Wait a minute.
Oh, no,
Sharon-
that's right. Newton, that's right. Yeah,
He was just clarifying that those
Yeah.
properties that he listed
you're right.
were not within 10 miles.
Right.
Okay, so Newton is missing entirely. Thank
Well-
you.
I thought we did get him, but it was Form A that we flagged, right?
No, it's not. Newton wasn't in the package that Sharon
Wait a
sent
minute.
out.
But in our notes, our Lamb and Keat notes, we have Form A incomplete.
Yeah, so he did not,
Follow
Follow
up
up.
with, okay,
Yeah.
I'm right. Good,
okay.
good, good.
All right, so Newton is on a list of, we need to follow up
Gotcha,
on getting
okay.
him. Larson, objection.
That wasn't that our follow-up there,
Yeah.
the book value and the
Yeah.
blank.
Objection is he didn't
It's
fill out
incomplete.
Form A correctly, all right, or sufficiently. Barry, any objections?
No,
Barry is approved. Pound, any objection?
no,
It's approved. Stewart, any objection?
no,
And Spencer. What was the problem with that?
Form A, acquired from.
Blank.
Okay, so we will follow up with Spencer Form A. And then we got somebody who just started with the town. This is Todd Pounds. No, Teresa Frederick. I don't see any flaws in it.
Can I flip through it?
Sure.
I didn't look at it. I saw it, but I didn't look through it.
Looks okay, Ingrid.
It looks good. Okay. Form A is the one we have to focus on, and it looks good, so.
And then D for,
Right,
sip.
yep. Okay. Looks good.
okay, so any objection to accepting Frederick as properly filed?
No,
No objection, it's accepted. Oops, oh, okay, great. And I'm saying only for the fourth time, I cannot say how much I appreciate the work that Sharon did on this, from start to finish.
yes, absolutely.
Just
I
totally
second that.
professional.
Thank goodness she
Yeah.
kept us organized.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I think I sent out for everyone, to remind everyone, a elected official some time ago asked for an opinion about, actually, it was spurred by our recommended changes in the ordinance that would provide that you cannot, an elected official cannot accept a gift from somebody who's getting a grant from the. I have drafted and circulated something dated August 10th. I'll read it for the record. And then see if any discussion. An elected official has requested, no, I'm not going to read it for the record. Sharon, can you attach this to the minutes? Yeah. Is there any changes?
Just a couple little,
Okay, Sharon,
Twerks.
if you will make changes.
I can give those to Sharon, little tweaks.
Yeah, capitalize the first letter of a sentence.
Right.
Ah,
Where are we now? The
We're
mayor's
still,
question about the T-shirt?
yeah. Yeah. Well, my bottom line on that is that, well, yeah, on that, the only question was, the official specified that the value of the gift was less than $20.
Maybe $1, as he said.
And I think out of diplomacy, we do not need to put his exact text in the record. So his real question was, I think, does a $20 limit threshold apply? And the answer is yes. To the other one, I don't think we can give advice specifically if you go to a specific dinner on such and such a date and whatever it is. Yeah, if there's a question about, can I go to that dinner? I'm sorry. Get a ticket to attend an event. We have that specificity. We can give an actual advisory opinion. I think it's helpful to the elected official to just see which exceptions would apply.
This wasn't his question about a meal. And we
It was-
certainly have the meal
Yeah.
exception in there.
Yeah. Right. If Ingrid would give at the end of the meeting to Sharon,
The tweaks.
capitalization corrections. Those in favor of adopting this advisory opinion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Another gift thing. It came to our attention on reviewing one of the disclosures. It appears that the water park gives a substantial number of passes to each elected official. I'm confused as to whether these are season passes or daily passes. But my understanding is it's not one. It's more than one to each official. The current ordinance does not prohibit that. The proposal that is pending before the council also, I don't think clearly prohibits it. The proposal at this point is as or is likely to request or receive a grant or other funding from the town. Not totally clear in whether the water park receives funding. But I've suggested and distributed adding 2 more categories.
Mr.
Persons, yes.
Chairman, isn't the water park an integral part of the town?
Yes.
It's not a separate entity. It
Has-
has its own budget.
Right.
That is within the framework of the town's overall budgeting
Yes.
operations.
I checked this morning. In fact, the council has to vote on the water park budget.
What is it, a town recreation facility?
I don't know. I just saw it was the resolution regarding the water park budget for this year or last year.
Right. It has its own standalone budget.
Oh, it does, okay. So that's not even a subcategory of the overall?
Well, yeah, I guess, but it does have
Either
its
way.
own set of expenses and its
Yeah.
own thing, its own budget.
Well, I'm suggesting adding 2 more categories of people or things that can't give gifts to officials. One is a person who is employed by or seeking employment by the town.
Mm-hmm.
Next one is an entity with a budget that is approved by the town.
Yep.
I'm not real clear if that's the best possible language for that. But, in fact, maybe what I'd like to suggest is have any further discussion, but not vote on this today, lay it over for the next meeting. We have the water park, could the what's the water cleaning plant?
The wastewater treatment plant.
Could they give a 10% discount to elected officials?
Yeah, I don't know how that would be done.
Well, we don't want,
But-
actually, this is a question to think over. We could make it explicitly for the water park. They seem to be the only, as far as we know, the only people who have things that they could give to officials. I would say, I had a discussion with someone who indicated that what happens with these passes is that the elected official then gives them to friends or to people who, can't afford to go to the water park, or in any event are prospective voters.
It's like cash.
Yeah.
That's, there's
Well,
no name on it and just pass it on.
I mean, that sounds pretty much like bribery, right? I mean, it's on several levels. I mean, the water park is getting goodwill from the elected officials, and the elected officials are able to pass on as a gift from them. So I think we need to recommend something that would interfere with that. My guess is that this was something that started well before the members of the council got salaries.
It did. I got some of those passes when I was on the council.
Okay, so it sounds to me that perhaps when the council members were, no, what did they get, a token, $5,000 a year or something?
At that point, I got nothing. Now they get 3,000.
3,000, well, maybe we can point out to them that, they can use part of that 3,000.
For their
I think
campaign.
this was kind of a payment from the town to, elected officials who are actually, totally volunteer. But I would think that it ought to end because they now have the money to buy favors for voters on their own, which is, whoa. Okay, so we're gonna put off till next meeting any further consideration of proposed changes to section 2527 of the.
Bill, can I ask a question?
Yep.
And it's because I don't remember the discussion when we first talked about this. And that has to do with item 4,
Yep.
paragraph B4, has or is likely to request or receive a grant or other funding from the town.
Yeah.
How does somebody determine whether it is likely that an entity will request or receive a grant from the town? And how is the entity supposed to know that they fall in that category?
I guess you could make the argument that some are pretty much long-standing grant recipients and they almost have it in the bag, like the fire department, for example, can almost count on it that they'll get something from the town every year. So.
Well, so that by next meeting, we'll think about how to clarify this
Okay.
to, if the likelihood is unclear or whatever, let's find better language.
I'm trying to get a better understanding of the issue here. How many grants does the town give to other institutions?
I would say at
I mean,
least
are we
10.
dealing with
Approximately.
one?
No, 10, I'm guessing, I don't have it in front of me, but if you look, yeah, I'd say, 7 to 10.
That sounds about
Certainly
right.
the fire department, and Calvert Family Advocates get a grant, got a grant of $1,000. And it looks like several other entities on the list looked like not vendors, but nonprofit institutions. And they got amounts that, were rounded to, 1,000 or 2,000. So there's more than one. And it is I think there may be a small town tendency that anyone who benefits from the largesse of the council and the mayor ought to be thankful and perhaps give a little gift. I think that ought to be large. But so the answer, let me, I'll follow up with Holly on, she could, put a check mark against those which are grants. And again, just think through. The whole point of, my sending out drafts is precisely give everyone an opportunity to refine them or object, right? So
I think it would be helpful if you all and me could get a better understanding of what the water park is and what its organizational relationship is to the town. Is it a town sponsored activity? Is it a town agency? Is it a private entity that receives financial benefit from the town, or what is it? I have no idea. But it might help because then we can determine, you all can determine whether there may be other types of entities or organizations that fall into that same type of category, whatever it may be.
I agree. I will ask Holly to clarify that. I mean, I spent most of my adult life in the People's Republic of Tacoma Park. They did not have a municipally owned, fun park. That would be private enterprise. I was shocked when I came here and discovered that this place where, people from out of, I know, that place is somehow government owned. Okay. All right, rules of procedure again. On what was sent out today or yesterday. First of all, did we adopt or not the proposed change, which would be paragraph 14 of section 6?
Mhm.
Okay, we did not, according to the minutes. All right, so the first one is to add paragraph 14 to section 6. Unless the commission grants a request to keep particular documents confidential, or if the Maryland Public Information Act would preclude disclosure of a document, the complete complaint record will be made available to members of the public upon request. Any discussion?
The only question I would ask, Phil, is in the beginning of that, unless the commission grants a request to keep particular documents confidential. Now, could the commission or should the commission have the right on its own to determine on a case-by-case basis that the commission feels that a certain document or documents should be retained as confidential?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's your decision to make, but I'm just raising that.
The Freedom of Information Act and Privacy Act together create for the federal government, really strong presumption that anything, any written thing is available to the public. And you have to overcome that presumption or, to specify a good reason that's listed in the statute.
Well, we could go into much more detail. Quite conceivably, one or the other of the parties to a proceeding
Yeah.
may come in and say,
Yeah.
Here's my highly private
Yeah.
confidential memorandum
Yes,
that lays out all my trade secrets.
yes.
Yes, you can.
So that'd
do
be
it
covered
here,
here,
But I want
we
the
would grant that
committee
request.
to tell me that it's going to be kept confidential. Happens in court proceedings all the time.
Probably, if we pass this as it is, we can amend it later, but probably when we acknowledge a complaint, we would say something to both parties, unless you request something to be confidential.
So what criteria do we use in granting that confidentiality?
No idea.
It's
It'll
just going to
just
be
be-
a judgment call.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, somebody has to make an argument. What spurred this was, and I don't think we ever actually followed up on it. Somebody did ask for the record in a pending complaint. I guess we sort of got away with ignoring it.
Yeah.
But we need to have some kind of premise that either everything's presumptively secret or presumptively available. And I don't want to put this in writing, but it seemed to me that I get an email that somebody files a complaint next week. A week or two after that, I get an email saying, I want you know, everything about, all your documents regarding that complaint. I don't think I can grant that request. I think it has to be a commission decision. So my response would be, this will be put on the agenda for the next meeting. Especially if it hadn't been made clear to the parties already, solicit their objections on a case-by-case basis as well. And yeah, I guess I saw it play it out. I send an email to both parties asking them to tell me in a couple of days whether they have any objection to disclosure of the documents. They both say no, then we don't have to bring it to the commission. And, I have an absolute practice of no communications to anybody without copies to the other two members of the commission. So you could, when you're seeing this dialogue, you can say, well, wait a minute, hold it. May be that the complainant's too uninformed to raise a privacy request. Let's discuss it.
Well, this gives us that latitude then.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
All right. If no further discussion, those in favor of amending section 6 to include paragraph 14 indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. It's passed. All right. Now we got a new one. Last month we discussed briefly a proposed section which I had drafted, and Brad had raised some very good objections. And so I've thought it through. And one of the things I did, this is a question of reconsideration of decisions. And I looked at Rule 60 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure that govern federal courts. And in practice, there's very seldom are motions for reconsideration granted, but there's a whole bunch of potential bases, several of which have a 1-year time limit. The others have no time limit. You discover that a order or decision was based on fraud on the court. You discover that 2 or 3 years later, you can have that case reconsidered. You can.
So what is like a normal statute of limitations? Is that 3 years?
Nope. There is none in this context.
Okay.
There's a rule, and it says there's a bunch of different reasons, and for reasons A, B, and C, there's a 1-year limitation. The rest, there are none. I think I can tell you that, well, I probably 98% of all motions for reconsideration simply restate the arguments that were rejected by the court. But I actually won one once. Actually, I had the Court of Appeals overrule the district court in order district court to reconsider.
And what was the time period there? Do you remember?
And that was just months.
Okay.
But anyway, this is a May thing. I do not. I'm operating at several levels. One is we're fallible. It's predictable that we're going to make a blunder. On one thing or another. And we might as well have it out in the open that we can be persuaded to reconsider. I hope that's fairly minimal. But somebody asks us to reconsider an advisory opinion or a decision on a complaint. We get to say, reconsideration denied because you're just repeating your arguments that you already made, or, you know, we get to say to the other party, you know, what do you say to this? You know, this, you know, claims that you had relied on a forged document. Come to us and explain, you know, whatever it is, provide the evidence that it's not forged. So I think we have this, we can.
I had one quick question for
Yeah.
Fred. When Fred drafted this proposed language, he had a 30-day time frame. Where did you get that, or what was the basis for that time frame?
That time frame was just my sense of, from experience, what might be a reasonable period of time, so things don't become stale or, you know, latches. That's, yeah, and when I communicated with Phil yesterday about this language, you know, I've rethought it, and I don't really have any objection to it because, sorry for giving you my back, because I am going to assume and have to assume that this body is going to act reasonably and not arbitrarily in making determinations of what is good cause and what is a reasonable time. And one time and one reason may not fit all. So it provides the flexibility, but it does provide some standards, reasonableness and timeliness. And that's for this body to decide.
I think these are wise words, and one of the problem with these making rules like that is you can always think of different harder cases, exceptions. Then you make another rule to create an exception, and then you need an exception to the exception, and eventually, you know, we are buried under.
And it becomes like the
under
tax
rules
code.
that are this thick that nobody can you know, find its way through. And I would agree with counsel here that we should say that decisions can be reconsidered. Forbidding that would lead to inequities, you know, inevitably. And yeah, let's pat ourselves on our collective shoulders and say, you know, we will act reasonably and fairly. And, you know, so we don't have to, you know, tie our hands trying to outthink in advance of all the contingencies that could happen. I think as I read it, it's a short sentence. You know, plain English.
By the way, just a point, our rules currently say that the rules of procedure can be amended without prior notice.
Yeah.
So we can adopt this today, and next month, somebody see, you know, you see a flaw, we can, you know, at that meeting, make the change. So that's, anyway, thank you for asking Fred, and thank you, Fred, for the explanation. I should have done that myself. If there's no further discussion, those in favor of adopting the proposed new section 9 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next regular meeting of the commission.
I guess I had a question about some of the issues that we had on the public disclosure
Yeah,
forms.
okay.
Are we
yeah,
going to
let's-
discuss them later
no,
at a
let's-
different meeting?
Um,
I guess we still are waiting on a couple. Do we want to just do
Yeah.
it all together at the next meeting then?
yeah.
Okay.
Now, but what would be good for all of us is, you know, send an email to the other two members. The Open Meetings Act bars us from a real-time discussion via email. It does not bar us from each person laying out his or her concerns. So we come to the meeting, at least, all of us, at least thinking about the same possible problem.
So are we giving them, I think, till the end of this
At the end
month,
of this month.
the ones that are still outstanding or need to be tweaked a little bit?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. When does anyone?
Sounds like then we need to go into September so we can get
Yep.
that new data.
Yep.
Fred, you have surgery next week, don't you?
Right. That's
Yeah.
right. So I probably will not be driving for about 6 weeks.
So what about tapping in virtually? When
Well,
would you think you might be available to do that? A couple, 3-4 weeks after
yeah,
that, maybe?
probably, hopefully by about 3 weeks. You know me, I can't sit still.
Right.
So I've already told the doctors and nurses, no way you're keeping me down for, oh, even if it's, sorry, Peter, even if it's a matter of me sliding my chair,
Yeah.
up to my desk and, raising my legs, so they're stable, or use my iPad or something. I would say after a week and a half, I'm going to be starting to phase back in. So, and I'm hoping that this, virtual will work. I've never used your system, and for me, although it's mitigated a little bit by these masks, with my hearing issues, it's helpful for me to be able to see everybody and to relive. That's not happening right
Oh,
now.
funny, yeah.
But so
So another part of this is Fred is amazingly willing to look up stuff quickly. So if to the extent there's any kind of legal issues whatsoever, we just email them and usually can get back right away, or at worst, at his virtual meeting with us, he's prepared, not trying to think, off the top of his head. And that has saved us, I don't know how many times. Someone will point out who will draft something, and fortunately I sent it to Fred, or he's one of the people I sent it to, and you don't have to do this. If you want to avoid jail. All right. How about the 10th of September? Have
What
a
day of the
calendar?
week is that?
what day is that?
I don't know.
I mean, what was the date?
10. Like, randomly.
Friday?
I'd rather not a Friday.
Okay. Following
Tuesday, maybe?
Tuesday. Yeah.
Are Tuesdays good for you, Sharon?
I'm here every day, so.
Okay. Peter, are there any days better or worse for you?
I'm slightly embarrassed. I'll be away for close to 2 weeks in the first half of September.
Okay.
But I don't have the exact signposts in my head, and it's not in my phone.
Well,
Why don't we do this? I can change, I'm authorized to change things. Setting it for Tuesday, September 13th or something?
14th.
14th. Unless anyone informs me that that's impossible, and if so,
then we'll
change it.
What time? 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock. Here, I guess.
I should have no problem zooming in
Yeah.
or whatever for that one.
I think Holly was saying maybe by then they'll have this set up so that you'll be able to see individual faces. Lip reading is out.
at least for the time being.
Lip guessing. I had a number of cases of representing deaf people. And boy, that's a tough way to live. Okay, comments.
I wish Fred very well with his surgery.
I
Yes.
do. I'm
A
looking
speedy
forward- I wish
recovery.
I could say I'm looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to the recuperation, but there's yet to be one person, must be 20, 25 people already who know that I'm having a surgery hip replacement. And to a person, everybody says you're going to wish you had it done sooner.
Yep.
It's a life changer, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm
It's
just
true.
hoping I'm not the one exception.
Yeah.
So,
Nope, a fast and good recovery to you.
thank you. And I'll be thinking about all of you.
All right.
As I say, Phil, to all my clients, if there's something that comes up, you need something, send me an email.
Okay, yeah.
And farther out from surgery we get, the easier it'll be for me to respond quicker.
Okay, yeah. God willing, it won't be necessary, but yeah,
Hopefully
that's,
not.
that's a great service by you personally and by your firm.
Thank you, Phil. That means a lot.
Okay. All in favor of adjourning, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. We're adjourned at 1:52 p.m.
Did it go away for
It's
2
the
weeks?
hip that you're doing or the knee?
Right hip. Everybody says the hip is a lot